walking meditation. So you actually focus your mind, balance your hands, and focus on your path, on what is happening at the moment. So what does that create? It creates a type of awareness in your mind to force your mind to focus, to be aware. And by forcing your mind to be aware and to focus, you think that you're blocking out things you're supposed to think about. You think you're blocking out plans. You think you're blocking out everything around you. At first, it is a blockout. But that blockout creates a sharpness of the mind that as that sharpness grows, the awareness grows. In fact, instead of being blocked out, you can't block out. All things are perceived by you. So people who are very sharp, people who are very quick, their minds are very sharp and very quick, is that they do awareness meditation, awareness type of meditation. And it can be Buddhistic, it can be non-Buddhistic. Creating awareness is not indigenous of Buddhism. Creating awareness is life. But Buddhists use that in order to enhance meditation, and they have special meditational techniques to increase that. So what happens in the beginning of awareness meditation, we're actually blocking everything out. We're blocking all thoughts, past, present, and what we want to do in the future, the people, our hate, our happiness, our anger, our attachments, everything we block out totally, and we focus on one. In this case, the mantra recitation, it can be the breath, it can be walking. We focus, and at that time, it's extreme suffering, because we're not used to not thinking about anything. And then we start to notice how wild our mind is and how unfocused it is and how, in fact, being in its unfocused state, when we're trying to focus on so many things, in fact, we forget. We forget. If you notice people who do things and they're not focused, it's not that they're not thinking, they're thinking about something else or something next or the next thing, and therefore whatever they're doing is not done well. And whatever they're doing is not done well, that thing is not done well, they have to do it again and again and again, creating a lot of problems for other people and themselves. So when they're thinking about other things, see, it's not that they're not thinking. They are, but not thinking about what they're doing. And they have not developed the awareness that they can think about what they're doing, concentrate, at the same time think about something else simultaneously. That comes from a type of mind that has never practiced any type of control. None. Just let the mind run wild and free like a wild elephant, like a wild monkey. It says literally like a wild monkey. So what happens when your mind is like a wild monkey, you're not here at what you're doing, therefore you forget. You forget this, you forget that, you forget that, you forget this, you forget everything. And you also don't accomplish the next thing, because when you think about what you want to do next and you're there, when you do the next thing, you don't actually do it well because you're doing exactly what you've done in the past thing, which is not focus. So the next thing you do is not well, it's not focused, not done well. Then the next thing, and the next thing, and then when you're here, you're thinking about the next thing again. And then when you're on the next thing, you're thinking about the next thing. And it goes on and on, it becomes a perpetual cycle. So these type of people create a lot of problems. These type of people, a sign that they're not aware is they say, I forget. I don't remember. I'm sorry. They say this quite a lot because they're not there at what they're doing. They're not there at what they're doing. It's not focused. It could be that several things. One is they have something more important on their mind. Or one, they have not developed the type of mind to see and weigh what is more important, what they should focus on. The third factor is that their mind can be very self-engrossed, self-centered. So they're only interested in what they're interested in, and other things they're not interested, they won't think about. So their mind is somewhere else. So it can be any of these factors, that they're very self-centered, where they can't think about other things, they only think about what they're interested in. Therefore, what they're doing for even themselves, that can be potentially beneficial, but they're not interested in, they don't do well. Why? Because their mind is not there, because of self-centered interest. Self-centeredness is the bottom to all of this, self-centered. And at the same time, they can be not so self-centered, but they keep thinking about the next thing. They keep accomplishing next thing, and that's the type of person who wants to keep busy because they're afraid to be with themselves. They're afraid to think and focus on themselves. So they want to keep busy on the next thing. And they like schedules, they like timing, they like perfection and timing, they like scheduling, all of that. And one of the reasons for high Tibetan Lamas to always, we hear in the past to be late or stretch the time or push it is to break this conception, to break this attachment to timing. Why? Why to break it? Because we keep ourselves busy consistently all the time so that we don't have to think about the real important issues. So it's another distraction, the second type of laziness. Second type. So what happens is, I know Tibetan Lamas that show up 2-3 hours late, and you wait. We wait because we know the system. You develop patience after a while, whatever. And the minute you let go, they show up. You're like, oh. So when you don't have awareness meditation, whatever you're doing, most chances are you will do it twice or 3 times until you get it right because you never focused. So for the people you work for your own work, for yourself and for others, you create a lot of problems and difficulties and effects because of your lack of concentration. And at the same time, for the worst type of person who's not focused, they don't even see what needs to be done. You know, they don't even notice what needs to be done. They don't even notice what is the next step. So they can walk into a room and it can be in a disarray. It can be messy. It cannot. They don't even see what needs to be done. They don't even realize why is the worst type of lack of awareness. They have trained themselves totally not, you know, never. They've been in an environment or they train themselves or they in a kind of upbringing where they don't need to be aware. Someone else will do it. Someone else will take care of it. So that's another type of selfishness. Why? To not be aware what needs to be done because someone else will do it. Then when you might be someone else, maybe our mothers or whatever have done it for us when we're young, but when we grow up and we still don't do it, we burden the people we are with. We burden our wives, our husbands, we burden our children, we burden many people. Why? Because we have set that type of way to other people will notice what needs to be done. I don't need to notice. So when they get into a scenario where people that they have to notice and people tell them, they get angry. They will fight. They will use excuses to not notice and not do. Why? Because they're accustomed to doing it. That's another form of lack of awareness. And that lack of awareness arises from the self-centered mind, selfish mind. Why? Let them do it. I don't have to. So these people, very common, either they will argue with you on why they don't have to do it, and they'll give you all types of points that are illogical, that doesn't hold water. Or they will say they forget, or they will apologize a lot. Why? Those apologies and those forgetfulness and all that it is for them to get away from it at the moment. For some of them, they know they're supposed to, and so they get away with it. For some people, they really don't know, so they apologize. Whatever the case, intended or not intended, it both arises from the selfish, self-centered mind. Why? Not being aware. So it's a lot of harm. So a lot of people make up excuses. I didn't mean to do it that way. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't want it like that. I'm sorry it turned out that way. That wasn't my intention. Well, whether it's your intention or not is not the point. The point is the after effects is like that. So the after effects is like that. Whether you meant it or not, the damage is exactly the same. Exactly the same. So the damage is exactly the same, and you say, I'm sorry, you don't say, I'm sorry. It doesn't make a difference for the person who experienced the damage. So for the person who has experienced the damage, whether you say sorry or whether you say, I did it intentionally or not, doesn't make one difference. So one time, I'm sorry, okay. 2 times, okay. 3 times, no. No more. It will create friction, unhappiness, arguments, disharmony, separation. Why? From your own lack of awareness, it will create separation. Why is that? No one can be with anyone who takes advantage of the other person emotionally. Emotional take advantage is when you're not aware, you don't want to do what you want to do, you don't want to do what you have to do, and you don't want to take responsibility. You defend yourself or you apologize. You can either go on the defensive or the offensive. So the offensive is, I'm sorry. That's offensive. Offensive, I'm sorry. Defensive is, it's not my job. I'm not supposed to do that. So whether you go defensive or offensive, if you're not aware and you don't do it, then you create separation. And that's what will happen to people like that. Always it will create separation. Why? Nobody likes to be emotionally taken advantage of. Emotionally used. Emotionally have to burden all the responsibilities. And one person burdens all the responsibilities, the others don't. Because emotional responsibility is much heavier than physical responsibility. Because emotional responsibility, you have to think, plan, do, execute, and result. And plan B, plan C, plan D. Emotional responsibility, you look at it from point A to Z. Physical responsibility, you sit there and you ask people to tell you what to do. You just do it. You just do it, you finish, you go back for instructions. And whether it turns out right or not, you don't see the whole plan. So people who take emotional responsibility is very heavy. That's why you see people who sit in the office age faster, look worse, and become even more depressed than people who actually work outside. Why? Emotional stress and emotional responsibility is much heavier than physical. So if you have someone taking emotional responsibility, they may not be sweeping and cleaning and all that stuff, but they're planning from here to here. They know that if you don't do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, that will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. And they try to avoid from this coming to this. So when they have to think like that for everything and they live around you and they be around you, it's very, very difficult. Why? Because you're not taking emotional responsibility. Emotional responsibility means doing everything from A to Z and participating and taking the burden off. So there's 10 things to be done in a house, in a center, in a place, in a community. and one person is taking emotional responsibility for everything, and the other person is just taking instructions, it's unbalanced. If the other person is not capable of taking emotional responsibility, that's different. But if the other person is capable in some way, shape, or form, and they don't, then that person is emotionally very selfish, and that collects a lot of negative karma. A lot of negative karma. And the karma immediately will be separation. Why separation? No one likes to be emotionally taken advantage of. So people who live together with other people who stay together with other people who live in a community or anywhere, or you do work together, no one likes that someone doesn't take responsibility. No one likes it when that person perpetually says, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I forgot, I forgot, I forgot. No one likes that. No one likes that. And those people will be ostracized out very fast. Why? It's very clear that you can't say, I'm sorry, I forget about the same thing over and over, month after month, year after year. What is that? Pure, 100% unadulterated selfishness. Pure. Where they emotionally drain, use, parasite off of you. So if I can have someone plan everything and I just go along with it, I'd love it. You know, someone's going to get a book done. They're going to get a book published, and they're going to plan from A, from the person who speaks, then writes and edits and goes to the publishers, copyright, lawyer, distribution, marketing, posters, until it becomes a bestseller. And they have to plan for all that. That's a lot of work. Whereas I'm just the one going to the printers or going to the copyright and delivering the book and bringing it back, and then that's my job. But I have to go out in the hot sun. I have to drive all the way across town, and I have to beat traffic. You see, physically it's very hard, but emotionally it's very easy. It's more harder to be in an air-conditioned room, quiet, planning everything, than someone running around in the heat. And some people even try to compare that. But I'm the one running around. You're sitting here all day doing nothing. Ridiculous, because you're not taking emotional responsibility. So therefore, people who take emotional responsibility are more even kinder. Why? They plan from A to Z and they make sure it doesn't fall. And the other person who just take instructions, and even worse, some people take instructions, they don't even do it. They don't even finish. They can care less or give a hoot because they think that they're very comfortable. But it doesn't last. So that arises from awareness. Awareness is the pith of Buddhistic methods for higher states of mind. The pith. The crust for Buddhist practice. So if in everyday life we are still taking advantage of people, we are still not doing our responsibilities, pushing our responsibilities onto other people, not noticing, and still being told what to do after we've been told, don't talk about meditation, don't talk about sadhanas and practice and prayers and mantras. Don't talk about all that. Why? They'll be of no effect to you, because on a basic fundamental level, you're not even spiritual and religious. On a basic fundamental level, you're not religious or spiritual. Why? You're not taking the burdens off of anyone. You yourself is giving it to everyone. So when you talk about Dharma, it's just hot air. When you recite mantras, it's just a show. When you prostrate, it's to look good. And when you do offerings, it's for ulterior motive. Definitely. It's for some negative motive. Why? Because if you're fundamentally very spiritual, on a very basic level, you will be taking your responsibilities. You will be doing what you have to do. You will not have other people repeat things to you. You will not keep making the same mistakes over and over. And the word, I forgot, I'm sorry, will become less, not because you've become arrogant, but because you've improved. And when there's shared responsibilities, instead of waiting to be told, you will tell, I will do this, this, and this, and do it well. So on that very basic, human, fundamental, co-op kind of existence, on a very basic, cooperative existence, if you can do that, then I wish to become enlightened. I wish to improve my life and do mantras and do practices and sadhanas. So if you do mantras and sadhanas, and you pray to the gods, and you make offerings, and you do meditations, and you do mantras, and you do holy protector practices to remove your obstacles, the effect of that will be very, very small. Why? Because on a fundamental level, you are not cutting out the very basis of you to achieve that practice. On a fundamental level, you are not even cutting out the very causes for you not to achieve that practice. And what is that? Awareness of other people around you. The very purpose of making offerings, of doing practice of mantras, meditation, is to become a better person, to be of better benefit to others. So if you're doing that to be a better benefit to others, and you're not benefiting others, and your practice is not getting anywhere, then we have to look on a very fundamental, basic level. Are we aware? if we are not aware of people around us and what we're doing and how we look, how we act, how we talk, how we respond. If we're not even aware of that, what higher practices can you do? What? So if someone talks to us, we're always perpetually bitchy, perpetually in a bad mood, perpetually ready to jump on them, and we need the whole world to look at our moods. And when we are ready to be in a good mood, and we expect them to follow our moods, then if you do mantras, I don't think there will be much benefit. Not that the mantras have no benefit, because for the mantras to be beneficial and the practice to be beneficial, you need prerequisites. You need supporting elements. You need all the ingredients of this chemical to work. In a pill, you have many different types of chemicals and drugs and medicines and herbs and whatever you need. Many ingredients to make the pill effective for you to take. So if one ingredient is not there, the pill won't be effective. Therefore, mantras, recitations, and all that are like the pill. But the ingredients is basic human awareness. To walk into a room and see what I need to do. How to not knock things over. How not to make mistakes to hurt people. How, if I'm doing a job, to do it the best I can and to improve. How my face looks, how I speak, how my appearance is, whether it's pleasing to the other person. So on a very basic fundamental level, if we're not like that, don't talk about retreats. Some people say to me, oh, I'm going to do a 200,000 retreat on Vajrasattva or whatever, so that I can purify myself. Yet when they're in the kitchen, they're breaking things, they're knocking things over, they forget, they don't lock the door, they don't shut off the lights, and they want to do retreat? No. Why? The retreat helps a person to increase what they're practicing, and the practice is awareness. So if you want to go into retreat and you want to do prostrations, you want to gain supernormal powers, you want to become better, it won't work. Why? You're not meditating on awareness. What's meditation on awareness? Every single thing you do to do it perfectly and no fault and no complaints and no I am sorries. Because if you're not doing that, what retreats and meditations can you do? Even if you cannot do fundamental, basic, day-to-day living, and then you do retreats, what kind of meditation can you actually do? When you're not aware there, you won't be aware here. And this awareness for meditation is even more complicated and difficult than everyday living. Because everyday living, why is it easier? Because we do it every single day. All of us, every day we do it. We need to clean, we need to cook, we need to put things away, we need to make things safe for animals and children. We need to make sure we lock the door, shut off the lights so we don't waste our hard-earned money, so that we don't inflict doubts in people that live with us. We need to do our own laundry. We need to not just drop it off at someone, they do it, and we don't know the hardship behind it, so that we just make anything dirty and we don't care because someone else will do it for us. So on that basic everyday level, if you're not attuned and you're not functioning and you're still dependent on other people, and then you say you want higher meditations and you want higher practices, and you do it, why do you think you'll get the results? Because for the higher meditations, you need higher points of awareness and focus. A person who's doing higher practices, their everyday work will be perfect. A person who does higher practices, if their everyday work is imperfect, they still make mistakes, they still forget, they're sloppy, their higher practices, no results. I promise you. It's interrelated. It's interrelated, very simple. So people who do higher tantric practices, higher retreats and more, it will reflect how they will not reveal to you what they do. It will not show you. But you watch their everyday actions. Are they precise? Are they aware? Are they alert? Are they focused? And everything they do, even if it's not their specialty, they do it very well. And they're very perceptive of how to get it done well. Even if it's not their field. If it is so, then that person is doing higher practices. Why? It is only with that kind of weapon or tool they can engage in higher practices. So people who do higher practices, everyday life is easy. You don't need training to clean, to cook, and all that stuff. You don't need training to be aware, to close the door, shut the lights off. You don't need training to vacuum and to mop and to make sure everything's safe. That's what we do every single day. So if you're afraid to be independent and to move out or to do things like that, forget about higher Buddhist practice. Forget about it. Why? That is the training ground. Therefore, high-level gurus who have students put them to do work such as cleaning, washing, sewing, ironing, vacuuming, to make them focus their mind. to train up their mind for higher practices. So after years and years and years of engaging them in ordinary practices and they still continuously make mistakes, they put them in retreat. Why? They're not even going to that level. On an everyday level, if we can't do our everyday responsibilities, what kind of higher practices can you do? What can? And then if you do higher practices for your guru or whatever, like cleaning and serving and washing and whatever you're doing, if you're doing it and you're not doing it well and you're making more work, instead of making merit, you make demerit because then your guru has to do everything over. And some more scold you and tell you off over and over and over and over again. So instead of making merit in your guru's house, you make demerit. Why? The whole purpose of you doing that is for you to develop the sharpness of the mind. And then when your mind is sharp, you are put into retreat. The whole purpose. So people who keep saying, I'm sorry, I don't know, I forget, that's the way I am, and they want to go into retreat, it's a waste of time. Total waste of time. Why? Retreat is to recapture what you've learned in your everyday life, to focus on your practice. Because your awareness that you learned, the sharpness of your mind that you have learned, you put it into meditational techniques. Very simple. People don't understand that. People sometimes they say, oh, these Tibetan Lamas, they torture their students. Oh, it's not. It is out of great compassion that they put up with these type of students. Out of extreme compassion. Because if these students act like that, they know that these people, if they go out into the normal situation where people are overwhelmed with hatred, desire, anger, these people will be overwhelmed and downtrodden, will be stepped on. So actually, for the master to have a lot of people around who are failures, who cannot make it, and who consistently say, I'm sorry, are inconsistent, always disappoints, it is a sign of the master's great compassion. Why? Who else would keep these people near themselves? Who else? So it's contrary to what people believe. Why? Because you don't have higher thoughts. So people who are near the masters who are like that, if they continuously take advantage, then their merit will run out to be near the training and they will have to go. They will have to go not because the master doesn't have compassion, because their merit has run out. And they'll only go down, 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 down. So don't talk about preliminary practices or basic practices. Don't talk about tantric initiations. Don't talk about all that. When your Lama even gives you an instruction who you've taken refuge from, do you follow it out or you continuously fight and argue and debate, fight and argue and debate in your mind to others behind? But in front, yes, yes, yes. But behind you're fighting, you're debating, you're arguing. You're not carrying the instructions out. Why do you think you'll be successful in your meditations? Illogical. Very logical. So therefore, the Lama is actually your dangerous friend. Why? The Lama points out what you're not aware of, and that's be creating harm in your life. Compassionately, skillfully, repetitively. And if a Lama's compassion is great, your Lama will point it out to you repetitively, over and over, year after year, decade after decade, life after life. But the person that suffers is you. Because a Lama has great compassion. Compassion cannot have an end or a limit. But your merit to be around the Lama will have a limit, will end. So the compassion of a Lama never ends, because once compassion is brought forth, it comes from an unstained mind that is free from selfish mind. Therefore, when the cause of not having compassion is removed, you only have compassion. So the cause of not having compassion is a selfish mind. Once that cause is removed, compassion is unending. It doesn't stop. So your Lama's compassion never, ever ends. But the student to be near a Lama, the merit to be near, to have this type of training, can end. Then who's at a loss? So therefore, Tibetan High Lamas, you'll notice if you read throughout history, if you read Milarepa, all that, you read Tsongkhapa, they will keep very down students, funny students, very negative students, and very students somehow who are always failing, very close to them. Very good students, they keep at a distance. Why? They don't need to watch them so closely. It's the very bad ones they keep near them out of great compassion. But you may think, oh, I'm safe, my Lama always watched me. No, but will you have the merit to sustain this if you keep blundering and making mistakes over and over out of lack of awareness? So the minute you say, I forget, it's the same as saying, I'm not aware. Very, very simple. So when we listen to Dharma more and more, we know the workings of karma, how beings compassionately help us and work out our karmas for us. How we know. So when the Lama has someone that is around the Lama that actually makes his work more difficult and problematic, it's out of great compassion. It's out of great compassion. It's not out of need. Definitely not out of need. Because if the Lama cannot do his full work completely, who suffers is not the Lama. It's the people who will get the benefits of the Lama. So when we let our Lama suffer continuously, we're indirectly letting people who can get the Lama's benefit suffer. So if the Lama needs help, there's no help. Then those people who are supposed to get that item, if Lama had that work done, will be lost. If a student gets instructions from a Lama to do it and he doesn't do it, she doesn't do it, and debates and fights all the time and argues and does it not the way the Lama said, the person who is supposed to get that will suffer. Because do you know if you do this, what will happen here? If you don't know what's going to happen here and you don't do this and you do this instead, against the Lama's order, you do this, the result might not be here, it might be here. So are you ready to take that chance? Very simple. Then for people who consistently fight, consistently make up excuses and challenge the Lama, after a while, most of them, their minds will calm down. They'll see the wisdom of the Lama. They'll see. But by that time, they have made so much negative karma for years, months, with the Lama. That's very hard to receive teachings or it to go in. Very, very hard. So when you don't help the Lama to fulfill one of his jobs or his work, his dreams or wishes, even what he blurts out, and you create obstacles, if the Lama is short of hand, short of help, short of people, short of money, short of resources, short of intelligence, or whatever, when the Lama is short of this and the people don't step in to help, then someone, as a result, will suffer out there. Why? The Lama is not gathering these things for him or herself. Definitely not. So from our side, when we have a spiritual, this is how I thought in America, when we have a spiritual master, we try to accommodate as much as possible. Why? Without limit. Why? Because the amount of beings that needs to be helped is unlimited. So when do we stop helping the Lama? When do we stop commitment? When we stop donating or doing work? When? When everybody in samsara is emptied and freed. So when we make a limit of how much we give and help and do, then you make a limit of how many people is to be benefited. Think. So true Guru devotion is not serving the Lama and waiting on him hand and foot. True Guru devotion is working through this person that is more advanced than you in skillful means to benefit others. That is real true Guru devotion. To benefit others. To bring people out of unhappiness. So the more resources and people and dedicated people that the Lama has, committed, more important, committed, the more the Lama can do for others. Why? If you can do the Lama's job, you do it. If you cannot, you do your job, let the Lama do his job. Very simple. So the more there are obstacles for the Lama, the more we play time, the more we procrastinate, the more we restrict, the more we don't give or help or whatever, the more time you waste for the Lama. Very as simple as that. Don't ever think that your Lama needs or wants. If that's the case, your Lama cannot be a Lama. Cannot be. A Lama is a teacher. Lana Mepa means one without fault. Lana Mepa combined is Lama. Lama means one without fault. So you don't call monks Lamas. You don't call religion Lamaism. That's wrong view, wrong term. Lama in Tibetan means your guru. My Lama, my teacher, my guide. So when we're flippant on our commitments, when we make a commitment to the Lama or the Lama's organization, and we keep being flippant, in, out, maybe no, yes, no, yeah, yes, yeah, no, 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 yes, 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 no, no. What you're doing is you're blocking other people's benefits. So don't talk about that you're a nice person. No, it's just not there. Your priority is not there. So everything you do for the Lama, if you make a limit to the Lama of how much you do, you limit how many people there is to help out there, which is unlimited. So people sometimes say, when is it enough? Never. Never. Why? How can you help 10 people out of 1,000? How can you? How can you help 1,000 out of 1,000,000? How can you help 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000,000? How can you help 1,000,000,000 out of 5 billion? How do you help 5 billion? Then what about the animal realms, the spirit realms, the hell realms, the God, the devas, the titans? What about all 6 realms? When do you stop? When the 6 realms are emptied out. You think, what an enormous responsibility. It's not if you develop the altruistic mind. It is not. But if you don't have the altruistic mind, getting out of bed and having to go to work is a very big, huge problem for you. For you to even switch off the light is a huge monumental attainment. Because your altruistic mind is nil. How much you don't limit yourself is how much you have compassion. How much you can do is how much compassion you have developed. How much compassion you have developed is how much more you can do. How much more you can do is how much you're doing now to push yourself to do more and more and more. The sky is the limit to benefit others. And the people to be benefit, the beings to be benefit, the sky is the limit. So don't limit yourselves, don't limit your lamas. Don't sit there and fold your hands and say, oh, he's my guru. But I only help you Wednesday, Friday, when I'm not going out and when I'm not getting laid. Oh yeah. And I'll help the guru. I'll give you this much and that much and that much. When you finish, let me know. And if you didn't finish, and if it's not enough, too bad. Wait. People do that. They limit their lamas. They put their lamas down. Well, I did commit to lama and I did promise, but I met somebody interesting. See you later, lama. But I'm a Buddhist. Ridiculous. So ridiculous. It's so contradictory. When we think about it, it sounds so silly. You think reciting mantras is Buddhist? No. You think praying in front of these weird statues is Buddhist? Do you think worrying about your next life is Buddhist? No, being a Buddhist is how much you can do for others out of an altruistic mind that has no motive developed from compassion, that arises from knowledge and meditation that eradicated motives. That is true spiritualism of any religion. Real religion and real spiritualism is the altruistic mind to be a benefit to others without any motive. That is real spiritualism. And therefore, if you apply that, you're a Buddhist, you're a Christian, you're a Jew, etc. As long as the self-motivated, self-centered mind is there in whatever you do, you are not a spiritualist of any kind. You are not. Why? How can spiritualism be based on selfishness? How can it be? Jesus Christ wasn't selfish. Buddha is not selfish. How can selfishness lead to spiritualism? Cannot. Illogical. Illogical. So how much time we waste on the Lama, if we have a Lama? How much work we have to redo because we don't do it well? How much belly aching we do? You know, oh, I forgot. You know, some people have dances. They come around me and go, I forgot. And it turns into ballads. And there's part 2, there's CD 3 and 4, because it's been years of forgetting. And some people have these wonderful songs. It's a rap song. I'm sorry. Sorry, I messed up. I messed up again. Sorry. And the Lama's like, they want to burn the CD. Think about it. You hear this all the time from people. I forgot and I'm sorry. Or the other CD that's wonderful is, I'm not supposed to do that. That's not my job. I'm not supposed to do that. That's not my job. Not a lot of lyrics. Very simple, but it's a catchy song. Think about that. And the Lama sits there and listens to all these wonderful music selections. There's different radio stations. I'm sorry. Oh, change it. Oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Oh my God, I forgot. Oh, no music, thank you. Think about the Lama. He's got to listen to all this crap. And when you're in Samsara, the Lama goes to Samsara Tower Records. Every CD, and there's some variation of, I'm sorry, I forgot, I can't do it, I failed. That's why Lama doesn't go to Tower Records anymore. And it closed down, by the way, thank you very much. Think about that. So if you're always forgetting, you didn't know, you don't want to do, you forgot, you're sorry all the time, why do you think your spiritual practices have come to fruition? Why do you think you do black tea, there's going to be effect? When you do black tea, your protector is taking a nap in Honolulu on the beach with a martini. Yes, Setrap is hanging out. Mahakala is hanging out in Honolulu with a nice Virgin Mary or a nice martini, probably pina colada, laying on a beach, and he can hear you doing black tea and you're like, no merit to go over there, sorry, buff. Think about that. And then some of you don't keep your commitments, you're lying. You do all the 10 non-virtuous actions, and you're sitting there praying to Tsongkhapa and Tara, help me get this, help me pass my test, help me get my job, help me get a car, help me. And guess what? Tara and Tsongkhapa are hanging out in Bali at a resort getting a massage, from Manjushri there. And when they hear you calling, they want to come, but they can't because you don't have the karma. So just think, the next time you're doing black tea, is your protector hanging around or is he in Honolulu, Hawaii? You think about it. Very clear. And this all comes from what? Protector practice, yidam practice, attainments, preliminary practices, improving the mind. What does all come from? Awareness. So simple. I want higher teachings. Awareness. Oh, I heard that before. But do you have awareness? I forgot. So silly. I heard this so many times from so many people. They all want higher teachings. They're bored. They don't want to read anything about general Buddhism. They don't want to hear anything. But if you ask them anything about the meditation of awareness, if they've done it, how many retreats, whatever, I didn't do it. I forgot. You're like, huh? And you look at them. You just look at them and go, You see, some evil lamas have a choice. They think, let them stay in samsara. I'll help them. Because most of the time, evil lamas think, oh, let them stay in samsara. Let them stay, let them stay, let them stay. Mwah. Just think about that. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate when people, it sounds so funny, but that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. No awareness at all. None. Zero. Turn off the lights, please. Oh, I forgot. You know, I hate the word I forgot, and I'm sorry. When I hear these two, actually, I'm like a deity taking trance. It's like a mantra. You know, I'm like, oh, I want to kill you, deity comes. Yes, this evil, evil deity comes. It's not a protector that wants to strangle you. When I hear that mantra, I forgot. Ooh. Just think about that. And then there's another special god called Slap God. When you mention I forgot, this slap god likes to come and enter me and slap you. It's not me, it's the god. You know, I'm a medium here. Don't you love it? Slap. Oh, it's not me. Fabulous, isn't it? So when we do these kind of practices from the simple, ordinary Tibetans that turn a prayer wheel, that recite Om Mani Padme Hum, that circumambulate a reliquary or a stupa, or a simple Tibetan who don't know anything who actually carves Om Mani Padme Hum, to the highest Tantra practitioners in Malaysia who engage in meditations on the highest Tantras like Yamataka, or the very high practitioners who are advanced, totally advanced in their meditations, from all the way up to the top to the bottom of the ladder. Everything depends on awareness. And the level of awareness we have is the advance of our practice. Everything's awareness. And if you don't believe in this Yamantaka, Shmamantaka, throw it out the window. If you don't believe in rebirth, never mind. If you want to believe in God, you don't want to believe in God, you want to believe in, but you don't want to believe in anything, you want to be totally atheist. Wonderful. But in life, you still need awareness. So it benefits you. So in Buddhism, it helps you to develop awareness to make your life happier and nicer. And if you're in Buddhism and you've taken refuge and you're still not aware and you're still duh all the time, the evil lama is thinking, you're going to stay in samsara, he, he. Think about it. Everything arises from awareness. Even doing negative actions come from awareness. Why? Aware of our vows, aware of what will happen if we do this, awareness of the result that we bring to others and ourselves as a result of our negative karma. When we lie, awareness of it. And the results and what happens will make us not lie. Awareness. When we don't have awareness, forget about religion. I don't care what religion you are. When you don't have awareness, your life itself is unhappy. And the people around you will run away. Why? They'll say you're insensitive, you're cold, you're blur, you're irresponsible, you're selfish, and I have to do everything and you don't. What does that arise from? Your lack of awareness. Very simple. So awareness is the key to all spiritual practice. Think about it. Think about it. It's very, very clear.